Kat. Welcome to my channel. This is my best friend Pam.
Hello.
She has a booktube channel which you can check out. And today we're talking about Shadow and Bone.
Woo!
So if you don't know, Shadow and Bone is a fantasy show which has been adapted from the Grishaverse books by Leigh Bardugo. And
on Netflix.
And it's a combination of two book series, the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology. And they basically took these two different books or different series with different characters and just were like, what would it be like if they all happened at the same time and all the characters got to meet each other?
Fan fiction, but still canon, because Leigh Bardugo was a huge part of this project.
It's like fandom heaven. But yeah. So today we're going to talk about our reactions to the show and everything that we liked about it. The show also portrayed some anti-Asian racism because they casted the lead as a half-Asian actress.
And they basically made her half Shu, half Ravkin.
Yeah. We have thoughts about that too. I know it'll be on Pam's channel. So stay here for the fluff, go there for the rage.
Yes, yes. Balance.
The trilogy follows main character Alina, who in the show is half Shu, half Ravkin, but in the books is Ravkin. And she is this war orphan who grows up with her best friend Mao, and they're in the army together. She's a cartographer. They end up going into the Shadow Fold, which is this basically rift across the country of Ravka that blocks off their shore. And it's just like
dark,
this
ominous
dark place where you go in, there's monsters called Volcra who will eat you. It has basically just like blocked off Ravka from like trade and travel for centuries. And then in the fold, something happens and she discovers that she has powers of a sun summoner. Alina can control light, and she's the only person in like the history of the world with this power. So then she gets sent to the Darkling, who leads the Grisha army of Ravka.
In the show, it's Ben Barnes, General Kerrigan.
General Kerrigan. And he's like, Alina, you were sent here to help me save the world. And she's like, okay, you're really hot. Like, let's go do this. He takes her to the little palace, which is where the Grisha train. And then that's kind of how she discovers her powers.
Six of Crows follows this ragtag team. They end up going on this heist to steal something from the ice court in Fjorda. So none of this happens in the Shadow and Bone TV series, which leads us to talk about the plot of the show and how it kind of differs but also is still staying true to the plot line. What happens in Six of Crows takes place after Shadow and Bone trilogy, but the show encapsulates both. What I loved about Six of Crows was because it was so diverse, and this show is, in the context of the Crows, still like super diverse.
And the casting was like absolutely perfect. Like
when
I saw the characters on screen, I was like, okay, I can't imagine the characters not being those actors anymore.
Yes. Jessie Mae Lee as Alina did a really good job.
Yeah. Like in the books, I found Alina like pretty relatable. Like she seemed like such like a normal girl. Seeing Jessie Mae Lee on screen, having her being mixed race and Asian, like that just added a whole new level for me.
I wish she didn't have to experience on-screen racism, but she did a really wonderful job in showing like her own conflict with coming to terms with her powers, her tension with Ben Barnes / the Darkling, and also her tension with Mao / Archie was just so good.
Like, I am principally opposed to Darklina, but they made me want to ship Darklina. Like,
I shipped Darklina.
No.
Almost until the end.
In the books, he was actually like way more scary. Like because I don't know if it was like Ben Barnes, and they kind of changed some things. Like Ben Barnes' like face, you know, and his eyes changed like so much expression, and like you feel like you're like, oh my god, he's like really sad. He's like really lonely.
Like for an evil man, he sure cries a lot.
Yeah, he's like always on the verge of tears. You're just like poor
it's
baby
okay.
Ben Barnes. Like I just want to hug you.
He was only ever soft towards Alina.
Yeah.
In this show.
And David.
And kind of David, I guess. But like more or less, I felt that his presence and like his demeanor to everyone else, even his fellow Grisha, is pretty cold and very calculated, which makes a lot of sense in the context of what happens. But I also feel like Ben Barnes intentionally added in more like emotional depth versus just pure evil to him. I'm pretty sure Ben Barnes is a Darklina shipper.
Oh, he absolutely, like in
Which,
every
how could
interview,
you not?
I think there was one where the interviewer asked Jessie, like, which character do you ship Alina with? And she was like, oh, Mal, because they're best friends, blah, blah, blah. And then Ben Barnes like stands up and walks out of the
Oh
screen.
my god! Power to him. And then there's that scene where they make out in the map room, and then he gets called away, and then he comes back and kisses her.
Yeah.
And that shit was improvised.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Ben Barnes, I know what you're doing.
Yeah. He's trying to make us fall in love with the Darkling.
Yeah.
It's kind of working.
It worked. On the opposite side of the Darkling is good old Mal.
Mal. Okay, Mal. Everyone hates Mal, and you know what? I can see why. But when your choice is between like a 500-year-old abuser and your childhood best friend who sometimes gets jealous because you're like making out with this 500-year-old abuser who's like, 17 and just, still developing as a person, like, yeah, I would pick him. So they definitely like changed some things between the books and the show. They made Mal like less of a slut.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because like in the books he sleeps around and Alina's like jealous, and that was really annoying. And he also gets really jealous and has his whole outburst, but they took that part out for the show because what I think happened was like Leigh Bardugo saw the response to her books. She saw that people really hated Mal, and she was like, dang it, that wasn't supposed to happen. She didn't want people to ship Darkling, but she made the Darkling too sexy, I guess. But they did kind of rewrite Mal's character a bit. What 17-year-old boy hasn't been that stupid?
True.
So I think like if you look at his whole character trajectory from the beginning to the end, he does grow a lot. He would literally sacrifice his life for Alina and like attempts to several times.
Oh yeah, oh my god. In this show, like half the time that we see Mal, he's like on the verge of dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm like, if you don't do that for me, I don't want it.
Okay, my favorite line of his, he's about to basically like almost sacrifice his life to save Alina, and someone's like, that's not the smart thing to do, and he's like, I never said I was smart, and he just like grunts up and basically gets shot, and you're like, he's so dumb. But I mean, that is true love.
That is. I definitely feel like their relationship, even as someone who hasn't read it in the books, you can tell that they're equals. With the Darkling, it's obvious that there's that power imbalance and that he's like looking for someone that he can like possess, kind of.
Kaz. Our favorite traumatized boy. Freddie is like really perfect as Kaz.
Yeah.
The way he like embodied even the little details, like the way like before he would like touch someone or like give a handshake, he would like pause a little and like hesitate.
Yeah.
The way he would like look at Inej, it was just like
the tortured.
I know.
The pining.
Yeah.
Everything we love.
It was just really perfect.
Yeah. I was worried that they would make Kaz and Inej more touchy or like I don't know. I was worried that they wouldn't capture the depth of their relationship without any touch.
There was a Inej moment towards the end that made me cry, and then I watched it again, and then I cried again. I just love them so much.
Oh, and because this is a fan fiction TV show, we got to have a Kaz and Darkling moment, and I was wondering how they would pull it off, but they did. It was good.
Yeah, it was really good. When that came on screen and they started walking towards each other, I screamed.
Jesper, honestly, I didn't expect him to steal the show, but he kind of did.
Yeah, he did. He was definitely the comic relief. And you could just see like the chemistry between Jesper, Kaz, and Inej, and how he's kind of like the glue that ties them together. Because without him, it would just be like Kaz and Inej like casting like longing glances at each other.
And being really broody.
Yeah. But with him there, he like breaks the tension. He's really funny. And he's the person that Inej can actually be like openly friendly towards.
Right.
Whereas with Kaz, it's like a little more fraught.
Right.
So it's like really cute to see that friendship come to life.
Yeah, I really appreciated that. Even in the show, you can tell that they each have distinct friendships with each other, and it's not just them as a crew and that's it. The fact that this is a prequel allows you to see more of that depth early on for the later plot lines. Our fave
Inej.
I don't know what else to say about Inej except that she's a fucking badass and she's my favorite.
They gave her like so many amazing moments. I really liked how they showcased like her ability to kind of like just disappear. There was this one scene where they were doing a heist and a guard had walked in and she like evaded him, just always being behind him. And it was like really beautifully choreographed. And I liked stuff like that because like I think it's hard to imagine like her stealth skills when you're just like reading about it.
Right.
But it like came to life really, really well.
Oh yeah, Matthias. I didn't even write Matthias and Nina here.
Their relationship on screen to me was like even better than in the books. Like just seeing them come to life. Hearing Matthias's like cute little accent.
Oh my god.
I just like I love him now. Like I didn't.
Yeah, in the books you're kind of just like, oh, he's like a recovering Nazi.
Yeah, now you're like, oh, but he's so cute.
In the books, like the Fjordans and Grisha conflict is a very obvious show of racism. And it's really uncomfortable because Matthias is so brainwashed by the Fjordan way that he was grown up as a Druskelly, which is like the top military. So they hunt the Grisha. That's like all they really do.
Yeah.
And so when Matthias meets Nina, it's based in so much of this learned hatred, and then like seeing them have to rely on each other and then fall for each other. In the books, you're kind of like, yeah. Like eventually I was like into it. But in the show, oh my god, just like the way they captured everything was so good. And Nina's actress did her so much justice.
She just captured Nina's personality so well. And like Matthias, I feel like when you read his lines in the book, they're kind of funny, but when you hear it in that little accent, it's adorable.
You're like, oh, sweet baby. The Scandinavian Zuko. And then I think the last character that we all agree was a wonderful addition. Milo the goat. That
he stole the whole show.
That goat stole the show. And apparently, like, he was only meant to be in one of the episodes, but they loved him so much that they brought him in for the Archie sequence. So as you can tell, like, yeah, we definitely loved the characters a lot.
Yeah, my favorite thing was seeing the characters from Shadow and Bone and from Six of Crows interact. And the way they did those interactions was literally perfect.
I really, in terms of like plot lines from the books that I want to see happen, what I hope is that the Six of Crows plot will happen in like the first half of the season with the Judah Paren and all of that going on while Alina and Mal are on the run, and that somehow attracts the Darkling because the Darkling's like, y'all aren't gonna be drugging my people, because at the end of the day he still cares about his people, and that's gonna be like what drives the different plot lines together, because obviously if the Darkling starts coming after Kuwei, if that happens, then I can imagine Mal and Alina maybe, you know, all of them interconnecting all around the Judah Paren and bringing them all together. Yeah,
I think it'd be really interesting to see what that plot line with the Judah Paren would look like with the Darkling involved. Yeah, I would be really curious like how he would react, if he's like evil enough to want to try it, you know, like you never know.
I mean, I guess he's like evil enough to use like magic or whatever.
Exactly.
Which in this world, like when you use magic, it's like it destroys you as a Grisha.
What I'm really excited for is for Nikolai to show up.
Oh yeah. Who's surprised about that?
He's my favorite, and if I had been Alina, I would have picked him. I feel like his character introduction in the show is gonna be epic. And I think it would be really cool for Nikolai to meet the Crows. I think that Nikolai and Jesper would immediately hit it off. They would become best friends. Kaz would be like kind of apart and kind of like judging them, but then build up a grudging respect and admiration for Nikolai, because Nikolai is like just as clever and as like strategically minded as he is.
Yeah.
And then they would kind of become friends, but Kaz would kind of be like, you know, moody, broody, and Nikolai would talk his ear off, and it'd be really cute. And I think it'd also be really fun because Nikolai is really rich if he hired them to do a heist.
Yeah. Ooh, but what if it was Nikolai that hired them to do the Judah Paren heist instead of that other merchant dude whose name I forgot, who's Wyland's dad? But then the Wyland's dad plotline will fall through. Damn, yeah, I'm really excited to see how they further weave together. Like, I'm curious if they're gonna continue to use like the Shadow and Bone trilogy in like chronological order. I just hope that Zoya gets a redemption arc, because
she will.
When she called Alina a half-breed, I was like,
I still have hope for Zoya.
I mean, towards the end, it's implied she like does the right thing, but like
in my head, she never said that slur. She's still a queen to me.
I know.
Thank you for watching. If you haven't seen the show yet, you should definitely check it out and let us know what you think. You can also check out our ranty video, which I'll link down below. But otherwise, I hope you have a great day.
Bye.